Okay, Sister Angela, you are now co-host. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. It's so nice to have you all here joining us on a Saturday. I believe it's the 15th of Ramadan, 16th of April. MashaAllah, we're halfway through. We ask Allah to make it easy for all of us and to accept all of our ibadat as much as we've done thus far, and to allow us to end Ramadan with excellence and in a manner most pleasing to Him. It's so nice to have you all join, even as we're fasting, to continue to learn and inshallah find more resources to engage your students in meaningful activities and learning that will benefit them, inshallah, both, I hope, in this life and the hereafter, inshallah, I think, as we all do. So jazakumullah khairan for joining us, and a special thanks and gratitude to Dr. Angela Elkordy for offering this webinar during Ramadan as an act of generosity as well. And I think that that's just so beautiful and such a creative way to give back, mashallah, and to engage in sadaqah. I think that it's a reminder that there's not just one way, mashallah. Sister Angela Elkordy is an expert in educational technologies. She has her PhD and is an assistant professor of educational leadership at the National College of Education at National Louis University in Chicago. Dr. Elkordy is passionate about empowering educators' practice through research and teaching and learning sciences, instructional technologies, leadership, and research. She is the lead author of Design Ed, Connecting Learning Sciences Research to Practice, published in 2019. And we look forward to sharing a link to purchase that, inshallah, for you. It was published by ISTE, the International Society for Technology and Education, which is one of the preeminent organizations on technology and education. This text, designed for educators, celebrates teaching as a design science that can leverage evidence-based practices and design tools for powerful teaching and learning. Dr. Elkordy served in pre-K to 12 contexts as a teacher and school leader for over a decade. She continues to build capacity in teachers and school leaders through her work in higher ed and consulting through Learning by Design. Dr. Elkordy shares her knowledge through professional networks, publications, and conferences, and we're so happy and grateful to have her here with our professional network, the Islamic Schools League of America. I'll be sharing her a couple of links for you to follow her or connect with her, inshallah, in the chat. And this is supposed to be an informative, interactive workshop. So again, if you're welcome, if you feel comfortable, I should say, to turn on your cameras, please do so. The way that we have it scheduled and planned out is such that the first portion of this will be Dr. Elkordy going through some awesome resources, inshallah, that are free for you to be able to plan this Day of AI, which is scheduled for, I think, May 13th or 14th, May 13th, which is a Friday. And so we thought that this would be, Dr. Angela actually thought that this would be an awesome opportunity for us to give you enough time to learn a little bit more about the curriculum, to plan this, inshallah, for your own school. And hey, if you can't do it that day, nobody's saying that we can't integrate these materials later. So the plan is that Dr. Angela will provide this presentation and go over some of the resources. And then we'll, inshallah, go into breakout rooms by grade bands, and you can, inshallah, then discuss with each other how you plan or what activities resonate with you and what are your ideas, and have it be like a generative conversation, and then we'll come back together. So again, really appreciate you joining us for this session on AI for everybody, training for the Day of AI. Dr. Angela, jazakumullah khairan.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. And again, thanks so much for joining us in Ramadan. We know that you have a lot of other things that you could be doing. So really pleased that you're with us here today. So thank you so much to Dr. Shazia for the opportunity to share. So without further ado, I hope that you'll find this presentation helpful to you. There's a wide range of people that are here and that are watching, so please feel free to pop questions in the chat. I'll stop every now and then to ask if you have questions, but my goal today for you is to be able to bring this to your own students. So I always like to have one slide where I put all the logistics and the interactive device. So if you want to follow along, you can go to the AI for Everyone slide deck and, okay. So for once, I didn't put the URL, so that's not helpful, is it? So let me pop that in the, oops. I'm trying to get to my share button, but the Zoom is in the way. So I'm going to pause share.
You know, Dr. Angela, you shared it with me. I can go ahead and find that in my email and put it in there so you don't have to worry about that.
That would be great. Thank you.
Inshallah.
Okay, so so some of these ways of interacting may be new to you or you may be familiar, but please just continue to ask questions. And okay, ask questions and stop me if I'm going too fast. Okay, as Dr. Shaza introduced me, I'm Angela Elkordy. I'm really pleased to be here with you today. I started my career in Islamic schools in 1999, which is a long time ago, and I was the technology teacher. So back in the day, yeah, that was quite something. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the experience. I've been working with educational technologies and for decades, more than I would like to say, and I'm also a former Islamic school principal over at ICD in Detroit. So, overview of what we're going to be doing today. I want to talk a little bit about what and when is the day of artificial intelligence, what is artificial intelligence, AI in education, go over some of the resources, key ideas, and as Dr. Shaza said, turn it over to you to do some collaborative planning. And I will rely on you, Dr. Shaza, to keep me on task so that the timekeeping, because sometimes I'm not great at that. Just love talking with teachers so much.
So Dr. Angela, how much time do we want to give for the breakout rooms, just so that I know when to kind of how to keep you paced?
Okay, so I was thinking 20 minutes, but I also have another activity for a quick breakout session, just to get everyone talking, and that'll be in about half an hour.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah, so about 30 minutes for these slides right now?
A little bit more.
Okay. All right.
What we're going to do is we're going to discuss some key ideas and look at some videos so that folks feel comfortable in situating themselves within this material.
Sounds great. This is what happens when we have an educator, a teacher, giving a workshop, mashallah. It's interactive and many different modes of learning.
We hope so, inshallah. So the key ideas are to locate or to share resources for you, to get you, to allow you time to plan and have some ideas about how to implement this in your own classroom or school. And number 4 and number 5 are really important. I want you to feel confident in implementing at least one activity, that one day of AI activity. And as Sister Shaza said, it does not have to be May 13th, but just one activity. And really important, number 5, is to find delight in our roles as collaborators and co-designers of learning experiences with our students. You do not have to completely know all the answers in order to do this. If you open up to the kids, as you know, I'm sure they'll surprise you. So think of yourself as a co-inquirer. And Sister Shaza, if there are any questions I should address, please let me know. So just a quick check-in here. On a scale of rose, blue rose, how are you feeling today? going to pop that in the chat. And I've asked you to introduce yourself and to share your number on the scale. Just get a little worried if this is ones. I usually like the cat scale, but that seems a little wild for Ramadan. So great, thank you all for sharing. Mostly 4s and 5s, understandably of 3, because it's Ramadan. Okay, so we're feeling good. So we're going to just start off by talking about what and when is the day of AI. So the day of AI, or artificial intelligence, is, as Dr. Shazza said, the 13th of May. But feel free to implement these activities throughout May, or before school lets out. It doesn't have to be on the day. It doesn't have to be all at once. The program I'm going to share with you today has approximately 4 hours of lesson plans. So you have an option there to, I think most of them are separated into 4 lessons, 4 or 5 lessons. So just a very quick poll before I move any further is, can you just drop in the chat, like, what is your experience with artificial intelligence now? So if you used it in the classroom, just let us know that you teach it. If this is brand new to you, which is wonderful, I'm so glad you're here, please let us know, just so I can try to pace myself when I'm saying. Nope, nope. This is really exciting that everybody's here to find out more. Does anyone already teach or work with artificial intelligence with their students? Doesn't look like it. So that's great. We're all kind of all in the same place. Wonderful. So why do our students need to know about artificial intelligence? Well, a really important reason is that our students today will be leading the choices and the software development of the future. And for those of us that are around my age, you see that go by really quickly. AI is for everybody. And my goal here and for you and your classes is to create safe spaces for inquiry, wonder, and experimentation, and that means for you too. So the Day of AI is an initiative that was brought about as part of a program, a lab out of MIT. So the Day of AI has various sponsors, but it's an MIT program that has several sponsors, and is free. And this is the third or fourth year, I think. And the idea is to introduce teachers and students to concepts of artificial intelligence, some of which may surprise you a little bit. Okay, so what is artificial intelligence? So I'm going to ask you, please, and hopefully this will work, to share your ideas. What do you think artificial intelligence is? What do you think when you hear that term? And in order to respond to this, you go to menti.com and use this code or this link if you are following the presentation. And it'll prompt you to put in a couple of words, and you can add more if you wish. You can enter multiple times. So if you wouldn't mind, we'll just allow a couple of minutes for folks to participate.
I was trying to put that link in here, but I guess it didn't copy the right way. So let me try that again. Make it easier. Nope, doesn't want to copy from the presentation. Okay. I guess we'll go to
able to just click on it. And of course, you know, I'm testing this myself. And so sometimes it does that thing where you're automatically logged in yourself. Okay, somebody made it, I think. Yeah. Okay, somebody made it in there. Let's just allow another couple of minutes. I just love watching this. It's so cool. Is everyone able to participate that would like to? It's completely anonymous. Some great ideas here. While we're waiting for, please continue to participate for another minute or two, but I'm wondering if the person that put Turing Test would be willing to unmute and just share with us what is the Turing Test?
So my name is Leah Miriam. So I think way back when I was doing psychology or something, it was mentioned it's like a test for computers, from what I understood. Of course, I'm not an expert or anything, but from what I understood, it was like a test to evaluate if a computer could think like a human or act like a human.
Yes, absolutely. It comes, it's named after the computer scientist, one of the early computer scientists. His name was Turing, and it was a test to see if you know, if the computer passed the test that they could simulate a human, then they passed the test. And so far most haven't. So thank you. So we've got some really great ideas here: machine learning, coding, experiments, new technology. Absolutely. Would anyone like to share what they consider to be machine learning, or is it just something you've heard? we'll get into that in a few minutes. Okay, so now please put in your chat, how would you define artificial intelligence? Or raise your hand to share your thoughts. We're a small group, so it's nice to have a bit of a dialogue. How would you define artificial intelligence? And it's okay if you say, remember the movie Artificial Intelligence? Or WALL-E? Or Alexa? Share your ideas in the chat or raise your hand to share your thoughts. And we won't wait too long on this. Using more technology. Olya, is a great idea here. Sadif as well. The ability of a machine to learn responses and to make smart or intuitive decisions based on previous inputs. These are all great definitions. So for the day of artificial intelligence, there's just, this is the definition that they are operating under. Artificial intelligence is a program made by people that makes computers do things that seem intelligent or smart in the same ways that humans are intelligent. So discerning. So now we'll go through a day of artificial intelligence overview. So this is from the website. And let me see. I'm going to stop sharing. Stop share, and then I'm going to reshare so that I click the sound.
Welcome to the Day of AI.
Can you hear it?
This video will cover the goals of the
Yeah,
Day
I would
of
say
AI,
just put up the volume more if you
the
can.
general organization of the courses, and the organization of the educator guides, slides, and the student resources. Through participating in the Day of AI, your students will gain a better understanding of what AI is, what machine learning is, and how it works, as well as learning about how AI shapes our lives and our communities. Your students will also learn about the benefits and risks of AI. They will learn about the social impacts of AI technologies, the important factors that should be considered when creating AI applications, and how to ensure that AI is used safely and equitably. Lastly, your students will be able to design and create with AI through a variety of hands-on activities. Across each level, there are some common activities. Each course develops students' understanding of what is AI, how do machines gain intelligence, and what is an algorithm. The resources for each Day of AI course have similar elements. The educator guide is scripted. Within the procedure of each lesson, there are slides and resources. Additionally, there are facilitation notes in the educator guide that are intended to provide more in-depth background and suggestions for implementation. The student resources are also linked within the the procedure of the lessons. Thank you, and enjoy the day of AI.
Okay, so we've had an overview of the day of AI. We've thought a little bit about what is artificial intelligence. And now we're going to move a little bit into AI in education. I'm going to share another small short video.
What will a world with artificial intelligence?
And this is from ISTE, the International Society for Technology and Education. They have a lot of resources for AI in education, including some programs where you can get teacher training.
Intelligence be like? Just look around you. AI isn't the future, it's here now. While only 33% of people think they're using AI, nearly 77% already are. AI recommends the right movies to watch, stops criminals from using our credit cards, and interprets what we mean to say when we talk into our smart speakers. Today's students are the first generation to grow up with AI. Artificial intelligence can already do many things that once only humans could do, like reasoning, adapting, recognizing patterns, and solving complex problems. By 2025, AI will take over more than half of all current work tasks. Employees in every industry will soon work side by side with smart machines to become more efficient and productive. And AI has the power to help us solve some of our biggest problems, like climate change, education inequality, and improving global health. But who will decide which problems AI should solve? How will we ensure our AI systems are ethical and fair? Who will decide whether AI works for us or we work for it? Our ability to answer these questions will determine the quality of our future lives. To design an AI-powered world we will actually want to live in, today's students must know how to do more than just use AI. They need to know how to harness it to create solutions that will improve lives. This won't happen on its own. Teachers are the most important link to developing the new generation of AI-savvy learners, workers, and leaders. Across the globe, students and teachers are beginning to learn about AI together. They're exploring the capabilities of existing AI tools, building their own applications, and considering what rules are needed to keep us safe. They're also learning that the more AI can perform transactional tasks, the more important our uniquely human skills like empathy, creativity, and critical thinking will become. AI is already here, and our students need to be ready. By learning to create with AI, today's students will change the world in ways we can't yet imagine. Are you ready to help students create the kind of AI-enabled world we will all want to live in? Are you ready to teach the future?
Yeah, I just want to pause here for a second and talk about the AI that we're using now. And you may have heard some surprises there in the video about how we're using artificial intelligence right now. But when you think about those kind of applications, tell me, what do you think of? For example, Alexa or Siri. What do you think of the capabilities of these kinds of systems? Either pop it in the chat or unmute and share.
Sometimes I find it kind of scary. I don't know if that's the kind of response that you're looking for, but like when I think about Alexa or Siri, that feels like something's always listening, and who's got access to that, and what are they doing with all of this information, in addition to helping me when I'm like, hey Siri, what's the weather? But it's just kind of weird when they suggest of word that's like you were thinking about it or something.
Absolutely. So when you're using predictive text, that's based on AI. When you go to Netflix and you see those lovely recommendations, that's AI. When you're on Facebook and the thing you just searched for is pops up as an ad, that's AI. So we're already pretty much using it in our daily lives right now, although we may not realize it. So here's an interesting point. Is this ASIA? That it'll affect the natural thinking and intelligence of our students. So the way that people are thinking about artificial intelligence now is to kind of leverage what we as humans do well and leave the repetitive work or the less intellectual work for machines in some regards. Yeah, sometimes we're thinking of something and an advertisement pops up on our device. And if you've ever had that happen, it seems a little freaky because, you know, maybe you haven't done a search for it lately. Yes, it's making our lives easier, but it's also highly invasive. So this is one of the reasons that our students really need to know about artificial intelligence and how it works, because they will be influential in the future in building these systems. And so, for example, one of the problems with artificial intelligence is that it draws from a database. That's one of the strengths and also one of the weaknesses. So if you imagine, you know, whatever's in the database, that's the limitation of the artificial intelligence. So for there was a problem, and that was investigated by a really famous researcher, that she was not recognized by facial recognition systems because of the color of her skin. And so if we don't have diversity and in who is making these the databases, then they're not going to think about inclusivity, right? And before we move on, I just want to show you the artificial intelligence talks. These are some resources I put together for you, but I'm talking about this scientist here, Joy, and I'm not even going to try to say her last name, but she explains bias and the implications and the necessity to clear that up, to work against it. Okay, so for the day of AI, just want to point your attention briefly to the FAQ. And some of the questions that you have about the day of AI may be answered here. How do you get the curriculum? Well, you just have to register. Is there any cost? No, you don't have to do it on May 13th. You don't have to do it all the activities all at once. And here's one. Do I need to know anything about AI or computer programming? No. And this is cross-curriculum. And they don't have to be in your STEM classes. Okay, any questions before we move forward to the key ideas? Okay, so this is a resource that's available on the Day of AI website. So we're not going to go through that now, although you have access to the PowerPoint or the Google Slides, so you'll be able to go through that later. But some more of the big ideas of AI in education are that we have not yet talked about are computational thinking, machine learning, algorithms, databases, and bias. in AI. Now, I apologize for the quality of this graphic, but this is the model, that the people for the Day of AI are using. So they're thinking about artificial intelligence in 4 realms. So perception. So artificial intelligence is computers that perceive their world using sensors or some kind of data input. So when you think about temperature sensors or light sensors, as well as input, that's what they mean. 2, representation and reasoning. 3, machine learning, or understanding over time. 4, natural interaction. And 5, societal impact. So this is the model that they're using, and you'll find these in the teacher materials. Okay, so one of the things that is affiliated with the idea of artificial intelligence is computational thinking. Has anyone heard of computational thinking? You pop in the chat. And this is a really great concept for your teachers to integrate across the curriculum. Anybody hear of computational thinking before? No, great. Well, as educators, you're familiar with the problem. It's very difficult to teach students how to think, right? So in teacher and principal prep, this is a huge area of concern, is that we aren't really taught how to think. We're taught to infer and maybe take a look at what and discern what thinking looks like after the fact. But I like the idea of computational thinking because it has discrete skills that you can build, that you can target and build explicitly. So for example, there are 4 skills in computational thinking: decomposition, pattern recognition, abstraction, and algorithmic thinking. And these are skills that can be applied over any curriculum area. I've done it with my own students. And although in the beginning, it's difficult to bridge that idea from, over to computational thinking from English language arts or social studies or scientific thinking. But essentially, decomposition is just breaking a problem into its component parts. Like, how do I solve this problem? And that's how a computer would go about it too. What is this problem? What are the pieces of the problem that need to be solved, and then in the sequence? Pattern recognitions. This is useful in any content area. And this is how computers essentially affect machine learning. Abstraction, you can use that from languages to math, any kind of content area. And an algorithm or algorithmic thinking is, you may be surprised to learn that you do that all the time. So algorithmic thinking is just thinking in a series of steps. So one of the famous and very accessible examples of algorithmic thinking is to have students create an algorithm or set of steps to create a PB&J sandwich. And so it's really fun to have students write out the algorithm of how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and then have other students follow the algorithm. and they do things that they're just hilarious. Like they don't say, well, open the packet and get the bread out. So, and this is very powerful in teaching, how to sequence events, how to set up algorithms for every part of life, your bedtime routine, developing metacognition with your students, like how did I solve this problem, or what are the steps that I need to use, what strategies. Very helpful. So what I was showing you there is just a flip grid. And if you've ever used that before, flip grids are really powerful tools to use to elicit student understanding. So you can participate in different ways, but usually it's by video. And you just add a response, and then people can comment on that using voice, audio, or just images. So it's a great way to have a conversation over time. Okay, how are we doing for time? So this is the first breakout that I wanted to have us engage in, and that would be, how can you integrate computational thinking into your teaching? And so I've asked you to contribute to a Padlet. This is what the Padlet looks like. And so Sister Shaza, is there a way to assign breakout rooms and just let folks have a few minutes?
Yeah, so what I did was I actually created breakout rooms according to grade. I do notice that there's not as many people. I don't know if we want to, maybe this is what we can do. I'll open all the rooms and go ahead and choose the room that's best affiliated with your grade levels. I know that many of you teach many grades, but what are the grades that you're thinking about using the AI activities for? Go ahead, although this question is pretty broad. Dr. Angela, what do you say? Should they go to the grade that they are thinking about?
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Okay, and then if we notice that there's only one person in a breakout room, I think that we're able to reassign.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think, do you guys all have a message showing up on the breakout rooms that are available? Go ahead and start choosing those. And how long are we going to have, Dr. Angela?
Let's just say a good 5 minutes. So just introduce yourselves and then contribute to the Padlet if you would. And for folks that are watching this after from the recording, feel free to contribute as well. So it's wonderful to have these interactive over time. I don't see the message.
You don't see the message to go in? Okay, broadcast message to all? No.
Why don't we just pop people into groups randomly, just for this short exercise? Okay, sure. What do you think?
Okay, so the breakout rooms are by name, by grades, but that's okay.
Oh, okay.
I'll just go ahead and assign.
Yeah, there we go.
I'll put 3 in each. I don't know how to do breakout rooms as well, so apologize.
No, that works. And maybe just one high school.
Okay, so we have 2 or 3 people in each group. Seema, I didn't assign you to one, so I'm going to go ahead and pause.
How to integrate computational thinking into the classroom. I'm sorry to make you think so much during Ramadan, and appreciate you hanging in here. This is an excellent example of how to use the decomposition. So kind of in ELA or languages. Great example. Anybody else like to share just by speaking before we move on?
I always like to stretch my mind about, I taught Islamic studies for middle and high school, and I'm like, okay, where does this kind of computational thinking come into Islamic studies? I don't have an answer. I'm just thinking out loud and wondering if there's anyone else here who might want to think with me on that, because pattern recognition, I mean, subhanAllah, actually, if we think about the Quran and the way that there's so many patterns in the Quran, there's a lot. I think probably it's kind of building off of what the other person has written here related to ELA, English Language Arts, that there's a lot in terms of the Quran and that we could do with computational thinking.
Absolutely. Problem identification. We have a lot of answers in the Quran, and also from the life of the Sahaba and the Hadith. We can bring problems out of and how they were resolved with algorithmic thinking. Students can make wudu, learning this is a procedure and how it's done, as in addition to how to line up and all of those kind of good things. So let's see. Arabic grammar be algorithms too. Yes, absolutely.
I think it also adds to that that sense of enabling ourselves to imagine the unimaginable and then use it to solve problems. Because people are blown away by a lot of what's happening with AI, and how does it know what my credit card is doing, for example, or my bank card. So there's a lot of abstraction, and I think that's the computational piece. Problem solving is another one. But I was saying in my group, there's a lot of fear that was coming out about fear of AI and technology use. So I think the importance here is that teachers need to be on top of this, help students understand it so that we utilize it in ways that's beneficial in our community and also safeguarding.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Seema. A really important addendum to that is not only using it as consumers, but also as producing it, which,
Yes.
we will
Yes.
need our students to be designers. Anyone else?
Dr. Angela, I just want to give you a time heads up. We've got 30 minutes left for our workshop.
Thank you. Okay. So we are moving into our last section of the presentation, where we're going to look at some of the curriculum materials. So this is really well developed in terms of the resources that are available to you. There are several different grade bands for grades 3 through 5, 6 through 8. There are 2 high school collections of materials, one for students that have never been exposed to AI, and then another that works in tandem with a computer science curriculum. So just want to explore these briefly, and then we'll go through a sample lesson, and then we'll give you some time to do some planning. Okay, so each of these comes with, let's just go straight to the website, because you can also access them from there. So this is what the page looks like, where you're going to find the teacher resources. It's going to ask you for a password, which you'll get after registration. And for each grade band, there's an educator guide, tutorial videos, which we've been using, teacher slides, and student resources. So here's what the teacher guide looks like for the upper elementary grades 3 through 5. Now, some of these activities are repeated over the middle school and also high school. For example, what is AI and how do machines learn or gain intelligence? And so feel free to, these aren't specifically necessarily only for grades 3 through 5 is what I'm trying to tell you. So we're going to take a look at lesson 2, how do machines gain intelligence? So I just want to show you that we have objectives, have vocabulary, the activity steps, with lots of great ideas about the pedagogy piece, the teaching. You are supported by the teacher slides. Which will help you just move through the topics. With some cute little videos, examples of AI, self-driving car. I just saw something on my social media about a self-driving car that was pulled over, and the policeman found there was nobody in there, and then the car scooted off. You have the tutorial videos. And finally, student resources.
And Dr. Angela, I saw that these links are in the slideshow.
These links are in the slideshow, and they're all accessible when you register for a day of AI. So I just thought we would go through a quick lesson. Maybe we won't go through all of it, but just to start us off, so you can just see the flow. Can you hear it?
No, we don't hear anything.
And you can kind of tell that these are maybe grad students that are narrating these. They're not teachers.
To show you this, it's identical for the upper elementary course and very similar for the high school basic course. So you're going to find the resources for these on the Day of AI. Right now we're looking at the educator guide. Again, this is lesson 2 in the middle school course. In this lesson, your students will be using the Google Quick Draw resource, which is going to be found in lesson 2 of the student resources on the Day of AI website. And we'll be starting at about slide 20 in the middle school educator guide. If you're in the upper elementary course, again, very similar. We'll start by looking at this graphic of the parts of machine learning. Machine learning basically includes 3 components, starting with the data set, applying a learning algorithm, and then creating a prediction. And then the first thing that we'll look at is a data set and how a data set can be used to create a prediction. And to do this, we suggest playing kind of a Pictionary game with your students. You can draw on a whiteboard. I'll demonstrate this using a free app called Lucid. If you start to draw a picture, the idea is have students guess what you're drawing before you complete the picture. Now you're going to notice with this app too, when I complete the picture, the app Lucid also knew that I was drawing a star, so it was able to make a prediction. So the question becomes, how was the software able to do that? Or how are your students able to make a prediction before they saw the entire picture? So the data set is the drawing as it's being made, what's happening inside your students' heads so that they can use that to create a prediction. So we start by unpacking data sets, which are a collection of data, so things that are similar. So in the context of this Pictionary game, your students probably have seen a lot of stars and probably data for quick draw.
I'm just advancing it a little bit. So
Some of these, like Moon, are going to be relatively easy. So if you look at the data sets for search.
This is using the Google Quick Draw resource. And if you've never seen that, just quickly show you. This is so fun. So it challenges you to draw, and it will predict what you're drawing. So, which it's not very good if you have a touchpad.
I see ocean, or diving board, or bathtub, or banana. I see hot tub, or frying pan.
So it tries to guess what you're drawing.
Sorry, I couldn't guess it. I see moon, or circle, or watermelon, or satellite. I see mushroom, or short monster, or mouse. I see leaf, or mosquito, or frog. Sorry, I couldn't guess it.
It's my drawing. I want you to see what.
I see nose, or moon,
What?
or
Okay.
potato,
Yes,
or
yes.
hula hoop. Oh, I know, it's basketball.
Okay. So with the car,
I see volcano, or bench, or bread, or pillow, or shoe. I see van. I'm stumped. I see ambulance, or police car. Sorry, I couldn't guess it.
okay. So that's a really fun tool, and the kids will have a lot of fun with that, and the teachers too. Okay, so now we wanted to allow you some time to do a little bit of unpacking and planning yourselves, and maybe 15 minutes, Sister Shaza.
Yeah, it's I think that we should put the link here in the chat so that people can go and check out their grade band. And I wonder if we just want to stay in this room and have people kind of write out what their plans are. Do you want to give them some specific things about what they should be writing or thinking about as they're planning to integrate into this?
How are they going to start? So I've got some suggestions. I'm not sure we'll get to them, but just so that folks know that they are there. And I had planned to have a Padlet, but where people could put their ideas, but really I'm concerned more about them just thinking about, looking at the resources and what looks like a doable kind of plan to start integrating this.
I think that slide 33 looks like an important one for us to hear your ideas, and maybe we can take some questions and answers. Can we put the links to those AI, to the AI resources in the chat though? And then maybe that will,
Sure.
Can go ahead and get started with.
I think folks can just click on
Educator guide. Would that be the best place to start? The educator guides or?
Yeah, or the slides.
Or the slides.
So I've hyperlinked them all in the slideshow.
Okay.
For each grade band. And there are two for high school. There's a computer science track, and high school, just plain high school.
Okay, so I put a couple of those links there in the chat regarding 3rd through 5th grade, but similarly, you can find those links on the other things. So we've got some questions, and I also wondered, Angela, if you wouldn't mind kind of sharing that slide 33 looked like an important one too.
This slide 33 is from ISTE, and it's 5 steps to integrate AI into your curriculum. And it's a little small here, but they're suggesting that you build connections, review your curriculum, establish new objectives and assessment criteria, develop and implement appropriate learning activities, and evaluate, iterate, and build. But I think it's, this is ISTE's suggestions. They have several different hands-on guides, which are in my resource collection. And that might be really important to take a look at. So these are all from, these guides are grade band specific, and they're from ISTE. So hands-on projects for computer science teachers.
And where are these resources, Dr. Angela?
These are in the resource collection, the Pearl Trees resource collection that is at the end of the slide deck.
The end of your slide deck.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So this is my Pearl Trees collection, and those are some of the resources. So hands-on projects for the elementary classroom, and these are substantive guides.
It occurs to me, Angela, to interrupt you for a moment. What Angela's been showing us is her collection in Pearl Trees. Google Pearl Trees sometime and see Angela has this awesome collection, and that's how she keeps track of everything. So she goes back and forth to it like it's just part of her life, because it is.
Sorry.
We're looking at it and we're thinking like, where is she now? I don't have that in mind.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with Pearl Tree actually. So
Yeah.
I've just put that Pearl Tree link there, everybody, so that you can access all of those resources. Because another thing that wasn't intuitive to me, Dr. Angela, was that the image that you had in the slide deck, because I was trying to look for the Pearl Tree link that you were saying. So it's actually on the image that it's got an embedded link.
You should just be able to click on it, but maybe that's something I could do, is go back and put the links under as well.
Yeah, when I click on it, it doesn't take me to the website, but it does show me the web address on the bottom, and then I can click the copy link and do it like that. I'm also not very adept with all this, so it just could be a user error. So Dr. Angela, do you think that it's a good time to open up for questions if people might have had a chance to kind of look through certain things?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, folks, you all, mashallah, you've joined on a Saturday with certain goals and hopes in mind. We want to make sure that you leave today with what you were looking for, inshallah. We invite for you to unmute yourself and ask any questions and engage Dr. Angela, who's an expert in ed tech and has been a teacher educator. And also we have Dr. Seema Imam here as well, who is also a teacher educator at National Louis University and focused on educational technologies as well. You got 2 experts here, mashallah, and both of whom are very interested and invested in the Islamic school mission. So any questions you might have about this would be a good chance.
I would just say that I feel in the group, I was in a breakout group, and I feel in the group much the way I feel when I teach new teachers. And so I just want to say to people, don't shy away from it. or be too fearful of it, because it's the way our world works now. So what Angela's point is, do some of this AI day and have fun with it, but then try to learn as much as you can so you can guide your students. I'm going to present an ISNA Ed forum, and I'm going to be saying adding AI to your curriculum is essential.
Thank you. So folks can feel free to reach out, you know, when they, because May 13th is a while away, but so if they have questions, absolutely reach out to me by email, and I'm happy to support you just kind of getting started with this. Any other questions?
Yeah, Olia, so actually I did get this link from the Google Slides presentation, but Dr. Angela, I wonder if it might be a good idea to put the link separately as a text, because I don't know, maybe it's, yeah, I mean, like if you click on the picture, Olia, basically, on like slide 37, that's where I see the link show up. So it's a
It should
screenshot.
take you there. So when I click on it, it takes me there.
Oh, interesting. Not for me. Do you think it might be that you're using Google Chrome or something, or it might be a browser situation?
It may be.
I'm using Safari, so I don't know if that makes
But
sense.
you don't have the presentation open. Angela
I do.
has it open.
Oh no, I do have it open.
You have your own copy?
I'm looking at the copy that she shared with all of us.
Ah.
But I'll be happy to put the link there as well. And so I would love to have any feedback on the presentation. It's so helpful to, you know, hear about the little glitches, the things that you liked. So I'd really appreciate it if you share your thoughts in the session evaluation. It's just 5 quick questions. And definitely reach out to me when you're getting around to, you know, thinking about how to support your teachers or to implement it.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Angela, for joining us and providing this to all of us. I hope that all of you who've attended today and taken time out of your Saturday have benefited, inshallah. You found some new resources that you can start looking through. And, you know, another cool way is, like, if this is totally exploratory, be a student with your students, inshallah. And like Olia was mentioning in our group, that they have a Friday kind of exploratory period. This would be really cool and beneficial, just like almost rabbit hole of activities that they can engage in, and maybe brainstorm ways to do Day of AI together. Like, what would be really fun? How could the upper school think of things for the lower school? Just thinking out loud. Anyways, we really appreciate all of you joining us today. Dr. Angela, Jazakumullah khairan for being here and providing this wonderful information and this wealth of resources. And Jazakumullah khairan to everybody. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wal asr inna al-insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihati wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. Thank you all so much for everything that you do for Islamic education and more, and may Allah accept from all of us. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Jazakumullah khairan.